Well, okay, so you don't know me. You've never seen me.
No.
I'm on a good day 5 foot, but there's never a good day. So I'm going to say I'm 5 foot tall. If I want to go fly a helicopter, I will figure out how many telephone books I need to sit on that seat to look out to fly the helicopter. Oh, I would love small talk. And in fact, tonight I have a meeting with some friends. We are going to talk about creating a new corporation and going on this new entrepreneur adventure.
Hi, I'm Dr. D.
And hi, I'm Julia Hayden, aka Princess Gaia.
And I'm Tammy Reese, and own a few businesses in my years of life.
Well, I know our audience is really excited to hear your stories. So please tell us about the businesses that you own, but also your life story.
Well, I graduated from high school, because everybody wants to know where you graduate high school. But I graduated high school from a small town thinking I just wanted to go in with the crowd and go do what I'm kind of interested in, sort of. But I was kind of interested more in becoming an attorney, I think, because I wanted to, I guess my younger day wanted to talk more and argue more, I guess you would say. And so I went to Abilene Christian University, get my bachelor's, and thought I'm going to go to law school. And I had someone tell me, go get any degree you want to go to law school, but make sure you get good grades. And English is the main degree. And so I was like, English is not my thing. And they said, if English is not your thing, you might want to rethink being an attorney. And I said, no, I'm all for this. And so I went and decided computers was my thing. When back in the day, I programmed the Commodore 64 and small computers and stuff. And so I got a computer science degree and decided I am done with college. I don't want to ever go to a college class again. Don't want to ever study. I just want to go out and make money. So I became a computer programmer for many, many years. And then in 1994, 94, I thought about owning a restaurant, because my first job ever was when I was 15 years old. I went to work in the state of Texas. You can work that young. I went to work at a restaurant and kind of liked it and stuff like that. And so I thought, and I kind of want to be a restaurant owner, but it took me to about 1994, and I went to Colorado to this little restaurant that was locally owned. And I asked the guy, hey, I love your restaurant. You have 2 of them. Have you ever thought about franchising? And he said, yes. And I said, well, I want to be your first franchisee. And he said, okay, you and the bread guy, y'all can partner up and put a franchise in Colorado Springs, Colorado, because that's where I wanted to move, because Colorado Springs, Colorado is one of the most beautiful places there are, I think. And I said, who's the bread guy? I don't even know who the bread guy is. And he was like, oh, you'll like him and stuff like that. Well, when I was in Abilene Christian University getting my bachelor's degree, I did attend like a few classes of my marketing classes. And I remember the teacher saying, never partner with anybody, even people who never partner with them. And so I took that to heart, and I was like, I cannot partner with the bread guy, especially, I don't even know who the bread guy is. So I don't know if he has the same philosophy as me or what. So I just put that on the back burner, kept being a computer programmer. And then around 2011, I believe, I was hitting that 25-year mark of being a computer programmer. And I was like, do I want to continue doing this or what? And then I decided, no, I wanted to go out on my own. I tell you what, this is what I tell my employees. I tell them, because sometimes they get nervous and they go, I just want to wake up in the morning knowing I have a job. And I tell them, look, I don't want you worrying about when you wake up in the morning whether you have a job or not. I used to wake up wondering if I had a job, and now I work for myself because I never get up in the morning going, am I going to be fired today? Or am I going to be laid off today? Or, because I'm my own boss. And so I tell my employees, look, you're going nowhere. It's up to you if you want to work here or not. But I do not want you to wake up being nervous whether or not you have a job and you're going to walk in and being fired. Because I've had a few jobs where I was laid off, I was fired, stuff like that. That's kind of why I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so that I could make others feel things that I didn't feel. So I've been at the restaurant business, 8 years, just past July, and I love being an owner and working with different people and stuff. One thing about being an entrepreneur, it never stops. Once you're an entrepreneur, I think it just, goes, and my friends are like, are you ever going to retire? And I'm like, yes, but that retire for me is like, okay, one day off and then on to the next thing that you want to do and stuff like that. Before I decided to get my own business, I was talking to God a lot, and asking him, hey, send me the right people who would focus my attention the correct way. And every day I'd wake up going, hey, open my eyes so I can see the right things, open my ears so I can hear what God is saying to me and what others. Yeah. So you have to really look at the people in your life and get your groups together of who's going to be positive, but you don't want everybody positive. That's I have friends who are too positive sometimes, but I listen to them at the same time. I have friends that are too negative. So you have to balance that out and figure out which one is going to work for you. But it all comes down to, it's your decision. Being an entrepreneur, it's kind of your decision. And you just, push on. At the same time, when my employees that I really believe in and trust in come up to me and say, hey, on your next venture, because they know I'm not just stuck right, where I'm at. On your next venture, I want to go with you. And that's real encouraging to me, so I really enjoy that when they trust me enough to go, I'm putting my job, my life, I'm going with you. Well, when I got out of college, I kind of traveled around the world and everything with being a computer programmer and such. And so when I came back, oh my goodness, back in the 90s is when, the computer started and the web started and all that. So I kind of got into computers. In the 90s, you could be a computer programmer and you could do the hardware for the computers and build computers. And so in the 90s, I got in the business where I could do both. And so I was teaching school, a little college, computers and stuff like that. And then I got in the consulting business and went to different companies and would tell them what they need and different software and build their computers, put all the computers in and start maintaining them. And we were doing a lot of network lines. Now, wireless wasn't back in the 90s. And so you didn't have wireless. You had to literally run the cables and stuff like that. So I did a consulting business for about 10, 12 years. Mm-hmm. And so you're talking about 2004, 2006, somewhere in there, to the point where, as you know now, that, then laptops were starting to be built. Your hardware changed on your computers. So a bunch of us older people who did this, who could program and stuff like that at the same time, you had to choose between hardware or software because it was too much. The technology on the hardware, you had to really keep up with it. And so I, kind of directed my sources to software. And then I decided, I'm going to take a back step in consulting and quit consulting for a while and just worked, for the government at that time and the B-1 bomber simulator and stuff, and just programmed that for a while. Kind of took a back seat. The one thing that I don't know if people say, I have 2 boys, and then they started taking up time. So, you can entrepreneur all you want, but if you have kids and a family, you know, you got to kind of decide who's important at a particular time. So I was raising two boys on my own. I've been a single parent since they were 6 months and 3.5 years old. And so I kind of had to do the consulting. I had to quit there for a while and do their elementary, junior high years and stuff like that. And so became a programmer. And then after the 25 years of programming, that's when I decided, hey, I kind of want to own my own business and start a restaurant. And I went back to that first restaurant that I said, hey, I'd like to be a franchise of, and it had changed in those years. Since then, they had built like 250 stores and franchised them out. Yes. And I'm trying to get a hold of those owners today going, how did you do this? And I'm not having very good luck with it, but they, anyway, I went to their store and their restaurant, and the company that bought them out kind of went a different way and stopped the local of it and the personality of the restaurant. And so I didn't like that. And that's when I decided, you know what, I can do this. And it took me about 1.5 years to figure it out and get it going.
And I know many of us. So your sons are all older now, right? They are young grown-ups. So maybe because some of us struggle a lot of how much time do we have to spend? How can we communicate with our children? Do you have any advices for this type of question?
Yeah. It's funny. I am chairperson of the West Texas Workforce Commission here in Abilene. We have 19 different communities. We help people get jobs. And the secretary the other day of the commission, not my secretary, but of the president of the deal, texted me at 9:30 at night about something. And I was like, you need to quit working at 9:30 at night. It's not that important for you to text me, email me, or whatever. And then I saw her the next day at the board meeting. I was like, you know, I was kidding you with that, but you need to quit. To answer that question, that's what I had to do. And I told her, I said, I used to be the person that worked till 11, sitting on my love seat in my room or whatever, and thinking I'm in the house with my kids. So we're being a family, until my kids were like, that's all you, and they would tell people, oh, mom just works in her room and stuff like that. And, you know, and I realized, no, I'm in the house. And then I realized when I come home, and that was another reason I had to quit consulting, because when I come home, I had to quit. I had to quit coming in my office and working. It's a personal deal. You got to just say, it's not that important. It's my, you know, my boys, my family, or my business. Now we can do both, but I can't, you know, stop being a mom and stuff like that. So my kids are 22 and 19 now. They live in Lubbock, and one started college right now. And I have to, you know, go, okay, I'm not working, you know, for 2 days, and I'll go up and spend the night, and then I'll come back. And I got to just put everything on hold. You gotta make a choice. And, you know, you're talking to someone, it was very difficult because I love to work. I really do. I've always loved to work. So I've always worked. And, but with the family thing, you gotta, it's hard. I have to think, when I'm gone, what are they going to remember? Are they going to remember sitting on the love seats, sitting in the office, working all the time? I don't want that. I want them to remember me spending time with them. And that's what changed my whole thought process.
So, you know, there's a lot of young entrepreneurs who would like to follow in your footsteps or something similar. What advice do you have for them?
Okay. If I was going to give, I think the best advice to give anyone, there's two things that go along. One is whatever you want to do, you need to go try it out. I tell all my boys as kids and friends and stuff like that, hey, try it out first. Go volunteer. Whatever you think you're going to do, go volunteer at it. My deal was when I worked at 15 years old at the restaurant, that was my experience. So I knew a little bit about restaurant, but I didn't know about restaurant owning. And that kind of hurt me a little bit. And I had to really depend on people and stuff to tell me where to go. But go and try your place out, whatever you want to entrepreneur. So go out and work at wherever, or see people who do it and see if you can actually do it on Entrepreneur. The other one is, if you're thinking about doing things for service, you need to work at a place that has service so you can get the experience working with people. You know, right now it's really hard to work with people just because of all the attitudes and stuff coming from what we're going through right now. But it's real, you know, are you a people person? If you're not a people person, it's not going to be good for you to go in service with people. You need to really think about that. You can do anything you want to do. You just got to figure it out.
Well, there's always a question that a lot of young ladies ask, and they say, well, kind of in your journey, were there any obstacles that maybe you faced that a man didn't have to face? Or on the flip side, do you think in some ways being a lady was advantageous?
I, including today, face one that I'm a very tell it like it is person. I don't beat around the bush, because if I beat around the bush, you may not get exactly what I'm thinking. And so I'm a very direct person. And then people take that as I'm rude, I'm just flat out mean, you know, a few other choice words. I am hard to get along with. But if it was a guy saying the exact same things I say, nobody would say anything. And it's tough. It's tough being a woman in any business. I face it almost every day. I can either let it bother me and get me down, which slows me down in my entrepreneurship, or I just press on and go, you know, that's just the way it is. God didn't put us here on earth to go, okay, the women are just, you know, do nothing and the men do everything. That's not what his purpose was and stuff like that. And so I get in, you know, I keep in touch with some of these ministries that are women and kind of lead women and stuff, which is really good. Yeah, there's lots. You're going to be told, you know, by banks. I think banks do it. Since you're not a man, we're not going to loan you money. You don't know how to manage your money because you're not a guy. And I'm like, there's a ton of guys out there that don't know how to manage money. I do not see that slacking off any time in my lifetime. And I'm not sure what the answer to making that better. Yeah, I mean, God created us all equal, but at the same time, he allowed humans to make their own choices and stuff like that. And I think it has changed in the generations. And, you know, in my generation, it's not shocking to see you and me as single parents bringing up their child and working and owning a business and all that. It's not shocking. 50 years ago, that would be shocking here in the U.S.
So you've talked about, you have a lot of international experience moving around. And now that you're back here in Abilene, do you think there's any special advantages or disadvantages for running a business like in Abilene, or maybe even more broadly in Texas?
Right now, yes, because the governor has it all shut down. So let's, if we talked about not today, actually, I think you could start a business anywhere. I look at it from not business, it's more personal and my family. If my boys were younger, I love the schools here. This is where the headquarters would be. And if I wanted to travel out, we have an airport here. We can travel anywhere I want to. So you also have to look at, where is your family? You cannot, and let me stress this boldly, you cannot separate family and business like a lot of people try to do. You just can't. And you can bring them two together and merge them two together and make it work. You know, remember years ago, you couldn't make it work. That's why you can't be a mom and you can't have your own business and stuff like that. That's what was portrayed a long, long time ago. You can make it work. So I don't have to move to Dallas to have my corporation of how many people and stuff and get it going. So I think in Texas, I like Texas. Maybe just because I grew up here. If I could live in Durango, Colorado, I would be probably happier. Or even in Germany, I like Germany or Austria. I'll go to Austria too. Being an empty nester, I can go anywhere I want to. It depends on the business you're doing, but I think you can almost run your business from anywhere. Okay, I wrote a business plan. If I looked at that business plan again, I would laugh because I had no clue what I was doing. And it was just my opinion only. I'm here to tell you, you write a business plan, it's going to be your opinion only. If you're going to ask money from the bank, and that's why I had to write a business plan. When I opened up the restaurant, I borrowed a little bit of money. And luckily I can say in 6 months' time, I had that money paid back. But they wanted me to write up a business plan, and I did. You know, it was based upon my opinions and some research, a little research, but I'm not a business plan person. But at the same time, it made me think a little bit more into my business. Okay, so I went down to Texas Tech Small Business downtown, and I think they're still there. The Small Business Administration. And they helped me write up a business plan, but they were kind of more generic because they can't do every business and understand every business. As an entrepreneur, you're going to be optimistic. But at the same time, you know, you put it out and you start looking at numbers. Man, I'm going to make a lot of money. And then you wake up the next day going, you know what, I think I kind of fudged a little numbers there. So I need to really think about this. But writing a business plan, you know, a lot of people don't want to do it. And in school, they're like, write a business plan. And that's probably the one that you get where people are like, I hate, if you said, what's the worst thing you do in school? Writing a business plan. But if you can't write a business plan, you don't have your business down. So writing a business plan kind of makes you get things on paper, out of your head and on paper, and for you to be able to look at it and decide, okay, is this realistic? So you gotta get, that's probably the most realistic thing you have at the very first, you know, and then you're like, this is not going to go, this is not going to fly, or you know what, I'm going with this. And I think once you get your business plan, it's one of those, okay, go, you know, fly from the nest, go kind of things. Yes, next question. Never let someone talk you into something that your gut is telling you don't do. Yeah. And you're like, what? And it's the one thing I've learned about being an entrepreneur, your gut talks to you a lot. In the restaurant business, when I'm talking to my employees, we talk, and my managers, we're like, you know, my gut's telling me no and stuff. And so a lot of people understand it. There's a couple things that I would redo if I could go back. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out a good example without saying some stuff. Watch financials, just, you know, as an owner, I can allow myself to get too stressed out and then all of a sudden not handle my business very good or employees very good or something like that. And you can always almost do something totally different with customers or employees or how you act. And I've had to learn to go, okay, I'm going to think about this for one day at least. And just, if something comes up, I say, give me a day to think about this or whatever. But yeah, you will always have that. You will never find anybody that says, oh, I don't regret anything. You're laughing. You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Even the president of our United States would probably say, oh, there's lots of things I wish I could redo. But that's just in your personal life also. In your personal life, there's lots of things, that you're like, man, if I could redo, I would redo, So it's the same thing as business. You're human, you take your business, it's personal too, and stuff like that. So don't get in the business thinking you're going to make all the right choices, because there's days where you don't make the right choice, but it's how you deal with it after that.
So here's another question I think is especially relevant now. Market conditions, industry conditions, they're always changing and flowing. And I think one of the struggles that every entrepreneur faces is just trying to remain relevant, know your customers in this changing environment.
Now that one's tough for me because I am not a marketing person. I don't say I am. I'll tell you, I'm the worst marketing person and all. And then people come up to me, hey, you need to market this and market that. And as of right now, I'm not marketing anywhere. I am just word of mouth. I have my website that doesn't look that great. I have my Facebook that I barely look at or even post to. I could do a better job in that. But it's me because I don't hire a marketing person. What I struggle with, and this is one of your, if you say, what do you struggle with in your business questions, is marketing, and trying to do that on my own. Especially right now, we're having to watch where all the financial stuff goes and such like that. And let's say that we're not having a pandemic and we were going awesome and great. I have to look at, okay, who can help me on the marketing side and actually tell me what I need to do, but actually be right. It's tough right now to market. You don't know where you're marketing. So do I market to them who's coming in, or do I market 20 to 45 who's not coming in and I start marketing to them? Being not a marketing person, and yes, I took marketing in my bachelor's degree, but I only went 3 times into class, so I didn't learn much. But, I do need to find that marketing person, but I need to find a really good person.
So for the people that have watched this interview, they've been inspired, they'd like to maybe visit your restaurant, get in touch with you, learn more. How could they find you?
Well, yeah, it's just theflippingegg.com and a Facebook page. I have an email address. It's really easy because my name is Tammy Reese, and it's Tammy, Tammy, at tammyreese.com. So you can tell I'm an entrepreneur because I have my own domain name. And so anybody can get in touch with me there and talk to me and such, and I'll be glad to give my opinion. I'm pretty good at that.
All these quotes of these wonderful, great guys we know out there. So what would be your favorite last quote, your message to people out there?
You can do anything you want to do. Just go do it. How's that?